We are joined by Scott Levy, aka Raven. Thank you for joining us today.
My boys, Gabe Zapolsky, Rob Feinstein, and some third hireling that you got, some flunky you brought with you to entertain me between on breaks. Is he gonna do tricks like stunts, like little cymbals between his knees and the big snare drum on his back and a slide whistle?
Starting out, why do you want to get into the wrestling business?
It's funny. I've loved wrestling since I was a little kid. I remember buying wrestling magazines. In fact, one time when I was like 8 or 9, I actually bought one of my buddies who loved wrestling. Me and him used to watch it all the time. This guy Chris Drugan, who's actually a doctor in the Philly area now, and I bought him some wrestling magazines, and for his birthday. And one was like a regular magazine with all articles and stuff, and the other one was just like bloodiest pictures. You know what I mean? And his mom took them away and wouldn't let him read them. I just thought that was ridiculous, but that's as far back as that's when I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to be an athlete, and then I couldn't see why anyone in their life would want to be anything but an athlete, because I was a very athletic kid as a kid. Then as I got to high school, I became less athletic and was more like a mid-carder and didn't stand out at all. And never really thought about wrestling again, although it was something I always wanted to do, but I just never thought I could. And then at some point, I decided I wanted to be famous for a living. Like I needed I think you have to have a certain amount of insecurity to want to be loved or hated by, loved by people that you've never met, by millions, adored by millions that you've never met. There's got to be a certain factor missing in your life, and I certainly had that. So I decided I wanted to be famous in some capacity, and rich and famous. And I was watching Florida Championship Wrestling, which I did every single week. And I remember thinking, I was watching Ricky Santana and Dave Sierra, and they were like the tag champions. Although actually, I think Ricky told me they weren't actually the tag champions at the time, but I thought they were. In hindsight, in memory, I thought they were. But they had a nice little push, nice little spot, and Ricky was working his pretty boy Cuban gimmick. And I thought to myself, I said, man, I'm as big as he is, and no one better built than he is. Certainly better looking than this guy. He can do it, I can do it. And that was it. And so, of course, Ricky's not a big fan of that story, but that was finally what tripped me and said, you know what, I don't want to be 50. Go, man, I could have done this, or I should have done this, or I wish I would have, because I knew I could. I knew I could be successful at it. And I think even if I would have failed, I still would have looked at it as a success, because I don't think failure is based on whether you succeed or not. I think we've really screwed that up. I think you're a success if you try. Most people are so scared to try because they're afraid to fail that they don't even try, and to me, that's the failing already. If you go out there and you give it 100% and you don't become the best, or you don't even make it, at least you gave 100%, man, you can walk away with it and respect yourself for that. But you can't if you never tried. And I think that's a sad thing, that people are so scared of failure that they won't even try.
Okay. How did you get into the business? How did you break in?
Well, I wanted to go to, I understood that the Malenkos had a school, and that was a good place to go. And that Chris Champion, I think, had went there, who was, Chris Champion had a nice little push with Florida Championship Wrestling at the time. And, all my friends thought I reminded them of him. Just loudmouth, funny, obnoxious kind of character. And I don't know how I found out, but somehow I found I went to Malenko's school, so I remember going to Florida Championship Wrestling with some matches and asking somebody and some people, and nobody really, I got the impression that it was shut down. So I couldn't find any way to get there. I couldn't find a phone number and a phone book or anything. It was really piss poor marketing by Boris Malenko. But that being said, he did turn out some good students. So he did turn out Van Hammer and Johnny B. Bad. So, they got to take the good with the bad. Or the really bad, for that matter. So Larry Sharpe, just the Monster Factory, it just got a lot of big publicity in Sports Illustrated. So, yeah, it was kind of one of those weird things where I'm thinking, well, I've never heard of any of these guys that they put in, and they haven't put anybody into the business really, because I guess the first guy they put in that made it big was Bam Bam, but he hadn't really made it big yet. Then me, I think, then Papa Shango, and some others after us. But he really hadn't put anybody into it, although I guess he claimed he put Bundy and a few others, but that didn't even make the article. And so part of me's going, well, we hadn't put anybody into it, but then it was also the most high-profile place I could find, because I think it was either that or Ken Passariello, who was a bodybuilder. I think that was his name. I think he had one with Kowalski, or that might have been a separate one in Boston, but Yeah, that one didn't work for me. I went to the Monster Factory and it worked for me for some reason, so I went there, and that's where I started.
Okay. Then you started in Florida, right?
Mm.
Pacific Northwest?
Nope. Memphis.
Memphis, okay.
Hotel California. You can check out, but you can't ever leave.
Okay.
Look at that, I'm back there again. It's unbelievable. I never thought I'd be back for a third round. Well, it was kind of funny. I know I'm jumping around, but it's kind of funny when we pulled up. When me and Russo pulled up like 2 weeks ago to Disco, pulled up for the show. I go, we're not working the fairgrounds, are we? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe we're back in the Nashville Fairgrounds. It was just really weird. I had a match with, I'm not even sure who my first match was with, which is bizarre because when I started, I would talk to these old timers and they're like, I would come up, I remember these angles that were just intrinsic to my childhood. It's like, man, remember when you did that? They're like, no. And I'm like, how could you not remember that? You know, and I thought to myself, I'll never be that guy, but you know what, after 15 years, you don't remember. It might have been Ray Odyssey, might have been my first match, I'm not really sure. That was at the Monster Factory school, and I think I know some guy, J.J. Paradise, who just went to the school. I went to Puerto Rico and did 3 jobs, and one was for TNT, it was Savio Vega, and one was, I think, Hercules Ayala, and one was somebody else. And then I think I had like 2 or 3 other matches, that's about it. And then, and this was over a 9-month period. Like, I went to the Monster Factory, and after a month, Larry's like, you know what, there's really nothing I can teach you. You kind of picked it up, like, you know, it's like, this is one of the only things in my life that I was actually a natural at. Like, I mean, I picked it up, like, and literally in a month, Larry's like, you know what, I really can't show you anymore. You have all the moves, you need to work in front of a crowd. You need to get booked somewhere else. And, because you can come to the school, you know, so I started sending a tape and letters to Portland, to Memphis, Puerto Rico, to Continental, to Kansas City, because there was still, had to still be at least 8 or 10 territories at that point. And nobody would hire me. For 9 months, like every 3 weeks, I would send a letter and a tape, you know, and just thinking it's never going to happen. Is somebody ever going to hire me? And finally, Lawler called and said, all right, you start Saturday. This was like on a Thursday. So I was like, oh my God. So I just told my best friend at the time, I said, look, here's my apartment. Close it up for me, please. And I'm going to Memphis to wrestle. Like, I didn't know when I was going to be back or whatever. I said, just put everything in storage. I don't know. And got in the car and drove there. Because they don't give you, like, you don't know how long you're going to be there for, you know. You might suck and stink out the joint, you might be great, you know, I mean. So it's like, it's kind of, I mean, not to sound like an old timer, but these guys today really have no idea how much, the ones who get like the deals, developmental deals, stuff like that, they have no idea how simple it is compared to what we had to go through and the mental stress when you have no idea if your job is going to last a week or 2, you know. And, you know, I think I made $300 a week, driving 7 days a week, 6-7 days a week. Put a couple thousand miles on the car. You drive to Memphis and back from Nashville twice a week. You know, I mean, there goes my phone. Hang on a sec. You got that.
You're in the middle of driving back and forth from Memphis.
Yeah, you drive back and forth to Memphis, and I mean, it's a lot. It's a haul, you know. But I had a great time because that's where me and Marty Zanetti became friends. Because me, him, and Sean used to. Well, actually, him and Sean didn't really run together at that time. They were kind of in one of their outs periods. And Sean used to run with Ronnie Gossett, who's one of the funniest people I ever met. And me and Marty used to hang out together. And I remember constantly having Candy Divine being dumped on my doorstep at 6 in the morning as Marty would throw her out. I was like, all right, yeah, thanks. Yeah, you're the green guy. They're like, okay, sure, there's the counter.
Okay. What was that?
That was my fault.
Okay. What memories do you have of your first time in Florida?
All right, well, just to fill the gap.
Yeah.
I was in Memphis for like 3 months, and then they let me go because I was it's kind of bullshit actually. I got there. This is actually a good story, so even though you didn't ask it, I'll tell you the story. I get there, and so they tell you to be there at like 8 a.m. or whatever, you know, because that morning TV show in Memphis, it was drawing like 60 ratings. At this time, I don't know what it's drawn, but it's still like huge, you know. And so I'm just so nervous, just terrified, you know. And so they call me to the back, and so I think Lawler's in there and Jerry Jarrett, and I think Gordon Soley was there because they were restarting Florida Championship Wrestling. So he was like one of my heroes, you know. Gordon was, and Jerry Jarrett spitting in his cup, and they go, all right, kid. They go, what's your finish? And I just didn't even have a concept that I would go over.